Hey TD Superheroes, I'm Alejandro Perez, your sidekick, and in this video we're going to be looking at conditions in Python, and we're going to kind of go over how they work, and then after we do that we'll do a small little example of how to use conditions inside of Maya. Alright, so what is a condition? A condition is using a statement and seeing if it's true or false. If it's true or false, it will output a whatever you tell it to output. So essentially the most simple version of condition statement is we're checking if something is true, we print the statement is true. So whatever the condition is set here, right now we set that condition to true. We're using Boolean values. We didn't talk about them in data types, but Boolean values are either true or false, and they have to be with a capital T or a capital F. So you're just putting a value to be value equal to false. So right here we're just setting if true, print the statement. So it is this statement is true. Now we can test this out by converting this to if false, print the statement is false. And what you'll see is that because the statement is false, we're not printing anything. So it's just checking the condition here to see if that statement is true or if it's false. It's not, if we put if false, it's not going to try to see if something is false. Okay, so how can we make this a little bit useful? Let's take a look at using some examples with some variables using numbers. And then we're going to check statements with operators. So this is greater than. We have a value of x equal to 5 and y equal to 10. So here we're checking to see if x is greater than 0. And it will output this number is positive. So it's checking to see if it's greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, we know it's a positive number, so we've printed that out. Now here we'll check if y is less than 0, and if it's true, it's going to print out y is negative. And we can see that it doesn't print out anything because the statement is false, and we can see that here. Now, along with greater than and less than, we can actually check if it's greater than or equal to. So here we're going to say if x is greater than or equal to 5, we can print out this statement. So x is greater than or equal to 5. We can see that it gave us that value. And we can do the same thing with less than or equal to. So if we run this, we can see that yes, y is less than or equal to 10. Now, what if we want to check a exact value? Okay, so if you want to check to see if a value is equal to something, we can use the double equal sign. You have to be careful to make sure you are using the double equal sign. So here we can see that x is equal to 5. But this is an operator that is checking to see if it is equal to. This is an assignment operator, so we are saying x is now 5. So if we were to do it with a single equal sign here, you can see we get an error. So we need to make sure that we do use the double equals for a operator to make sure that we're checking to see if it's equal to and not trying to assign it inside of a condition statement. Now we can also check to make sure a value is not equal to something. Oops. So we can use the exclamation mark in front of an equal sign, and so we're saying y is not equal to 5. And here the statement will be true because y is 10. So y is not equal to 5. Now there are also some keyword operators that we can use. And the first keyword operator that we're going to check is the AND operator. So here we can actually create two statements, and we're saying is x greater than 0 and is y greater than 0. X and y are positive if that condition is true. So if we run this, we can see that that gives us a true result. But if we change one of these to be negative and we run this, we can see that we don't get any printed statement because both of these conditions did not turn out true. So when you're using the AND operator, it is making sure that these two statements are part of the result that you're getting to be actually true. Then we also have the OR operator. So here X or Y is positive, and if we run this, we can say X or Y is positive because we're using the OR operator. But if we change one of these to negative, you can see that we are still getting X or Y is positive because one of these conditions is true. We can make them both negative, and you'll see that we won't actually print anything at that point. Okay, so let's take a look at a list here. So we are creating numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are using the in operator. And here we're checking to see if 3 is in numbers. If it is in the list. So let's print that. And we can say that 3 is in the list. Now we can combine in with not, and not is basically kind of a, like when we use the exclamation mark with the equals is not equal to. Here we're checking to see if 6 is not in numbers, then we can print out the statement. So let's try that, and we can say that 6 is not in that list. The in operator can also be used with strings, and let's create a quick string. So this is a string, it is equal to that, and let's say we will check if this is in string. Okay, and then we'll say this is in string. Okay, so if we put this out, then we can say that this is in string. So it's checking to see if a set of characters is in there, and it will output true or false. So we can see if we type in something else and run this, it won't give us a statement because the string number is not in that string. Okay, now we're going to take a look at if, elif, and else statements within a condition. So right here we're checking kind of how we've been doing right now. We've set a value of x equal to 0, and if x is greater than 0, we know that the statement is true. So if we print this, we don't get any result. Now if immediately after that if statement we include an elif, it's going to check this, and if this does not turn out true, then it's going to check this. So it's kind of chaining them together, but if anything on top ends up being true, it's not going to actually execute this. It's going to go to the end of the chain and kind of like skip over this. It's a way that Python kind of optimizes things. So if we run this, we can see that we still don't get a value. Then we know if a number is not greater than 0, and if it is not less than 0, it should be 0. So we can use an else statement. So if none of the other if or elif statements above it are true, then we will do the else statement. So we can see x is equal to 0. So if we had done this here, it will go through and read this, it will go and read this, and then this else statement will only pop up if this is not true. So let's do an example here. So we'll make this equal to 1. And if we run this, you can see that it says x is positive and x is 0. So we know that's not true, but because it calculated this and it found that to be true, it printed out that statement. Then here we went in and it checked to see if this was true. It was false, and because this is false, it ran the else statement. So that's why we don't use two if statements. We want to include the else if, so the elif. And we can include as many if statements we wanted to here. So if we did that, it will still say that this is positive. Now, if we did a negative number, it will say it's negative. If we did 0, it shows that the number is 0. Now, if we actually tried to do 10 here, we can see that it outputs only x is positive. So that is because it found that this is true, and it's not going to read anything else. So if we wanted to say x is positive and that x is 10, we'd want to kind of remove that from here. And let's put this down here, and we're going to change this from an elif to an if statement. And we can see x is positive and x is 10. There we go. Now let's do a little Maya example. I'm going to import maya.cmds as MC. And I'm going to get the selected objects. So we're using MC, which is the Maya commands. We have the list command, which is just going to get the list of, because we put this flag here, the selection, because that is equal to true. And let's just start off by printing selected objects, just to see kind of what we're getting. So right now I have group 1 selected. Now if I don't have anything selected, it's going to give us an empty list. And if I create a sphere and it's selected, we'll have that sphere in our list. Okay. Now let's structure this in a condition statement. Here, what we're going to do is use the function length, and we're going to check the length of the list here and see if it is greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, it's going to tell us what the selected objects are. So if we run this, nothing pops up. If we create a sphere and it's selected, I said selected objects, and it'll give us the selected objects. Let's create another one just for fun. And here it says selected objects, and it gives us the selected objects. Now let's do a else statement. And here we can see else no objects are selected. So right now you can see that we have the object selected. Now if you deselect everything and run this, we can see that it tells us no objects are selected. And that is a simple example using conditions with Python inside of Maya. Alright, I hope you found this useful. If you did, check out my other tutorial series on CGI Nerd that is going over right now how to use Houdini or Python inside of Houdini as well. So if you want to learn more about Python and how to use it in Houdini, check out that tutorial series. Link is down in the description. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.